You guys like throwing a jig? I like to throw jigs. Jigs are fun. I challenge you guys to go in the comments and tell me any bite in bass fishing that could be better than this. When you think of bass fishing, when you think of bass fishing baits, one of the very first things that comes to mind for a lot of anglers is the old jig. And for good reason. It just gets bit around the entirety of the country. Smallmouth bass, spotted bass, largemouth bass. Straightforward, this bait just catches fish. Time and time again. Around grass, around timber, man-made structure, or out in the abyss just dragging in sand. This bait gets bit. There are hundreds of different brands. There's hundreds of different jigs from lead to tungsten coated. There's a bunch of good stuff out there and some really creative ideas to take jig fishing to a different level, put a different twist on it. I'm gonna show you guys 2 jigs in this video that takes the normal jig and does something different with it. So in our jig box right here that we have, this Evolution waterproof box, we have a lot of freaking jigs. We have swim jigs, we have football jigs, we have big football jigs, finesse football jigs, finesse flipping jigs, big flipping jigs, all over the board. We got a whole bunch of it in this box. So it's kind of like, it's a jig. How can it get any different? It's pretty straightforward. A jig head, a hook, and a skirt. And what I'll do, there are a lot of great jigs out there. What I'll do is I'll put my favorite couple jigs down here below, but then in addition to the 2 that I'm gonna show you guys that put a little bit of a different twist on throwing a jig. So the first one I wanted to show you guys is one that is a popular jig. It's becoming more popular, especially for a finesse football head. It's a brand that has a great lineup of jigs. Love their jigs. And that is Beast Coast. And what they do have here, so their finesse football, which you'll see right here, they call it the open water sniper jig. They have a couple different little renditions of it. But overall, that is a great bait, especially speaking from somebody like myself up here in the north. When you're fishing for smallmouth or you're not fishing around anything you can get hung up on, that is a great jig. In general, guys, that's a great tip for you too. If you're throwing a jig and you're not around brush piles or anything that you can kind of get hung up on, take your weed guard off. We don't need to have it on there. So getting back to the bait. They have a color in the open water sniper called Hybrid Black. If you've not seen that yet, they also have this in their finesse football, but it is a combination of your typical skirt, but if you look in there, that's hair. So they have hair mixed in with your typical skirt. So what that is going to do is when you got that bait sitting on bottom, that hair is going to mix in with that skirt. And everybody knows hair, especially in colder water, is going to stand up. And that combined with that is going to make for one bad to the bone jig to throw, especially for something that they may not have seen before. One thing I will tell you guys is you can put a quad trailer on this. You can put your normal football trailer on this, but here's one suggestion I have for you guys. You can throw a Ned rig style bait on the back of this and you'd be very surprised by the results. Now, the twist I'll add on it is you can use your typical Ned rig baits, such as a Max Scent little general or a little Sakoshi bug. You can use your Ned rig baits on these, but one thing I'll recommend, especially for whatever reason for largemouth guys, this works a little better, and big smallmouth, is go take a Max Scent in general. This can work with a Senko. I just really like Max Scent from the scent point of view, especially when you're dragging baits. It just leaves a scent trail. It's a confidence thing. You don't have to do it. I recommend it. So grab that general, and I'm gonna go, what I like to do, a little bit longer up here, so you see where that bait splits. Let me see if I can get this to focus. So you can kind of see where ring flat, and right where the shorter part of the head is, right up here, that's where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut that bait flat. And so it's a little bit longer than your TRD. You know, like especially a little general being 2 3/4 inches, this is probably 3 1/2, if not a little bit longer. I'm sure you can just use 4 inches. It's just the bigger the general or Senko, typically the little bit fatter it's going to be. And that kind of helps you with throwing the jig and with density. And feel free to put your own twist on this. And if you've got ideas of other ways that this can work too, by all means, throw them in the comments. So I'm going to move my skirt out of the way and then rope this puppy on there. And this right here is a freaking cold water killer. I mean, look at that puppy. That thing is going to catch some fish. So you got all your hair in there too. So when that thing's sitting on bottom, obviously you got your scent trail, you got your hair sticking up, you got your skirt sticking up. That is one that can just add a little bit of something different on your jig trailer. And there you have that jig. That is number one. Try this when it's cold, real cold, you know, getting out of the spring, or next year when you're going into winter, or even try it late summer when it's hard to get a bite on anything else, but you know they're out there. You know you can catch them dragging, that sort of thing. That's a bad little bama jamma. The second one that I wanted to show you guys. Now, this is obviously a very popular bait, scope or whatnot, especially for our offshore guys. A football jig's a football jig, right? It's pretty simple, tried and true, kind of hard to mess up. As long as you got a good head, a good hook, and a good line tie, you know, you won't break off as much, and you're going to catch a lot of fish doing it. One thing I encourage you guys to try. This here, when you look at it, you're like, dude, it's just another football jig. I don't know what you're trying to show us. Right here, so this head shape, this is called the Queen Tackle Hammerhead football jig. And so it's got a little sides here. What I'll do, I'll bring this to my mic here so you can hear it. It's got tungsten rattles on the inside of this head. So what you're doing is while you're working that bait, say over, you know, down a ledge, you're working it on a rock pile, wherever you might be throwing it. It's one where as you drag it, it bumps into rocks. It's gonna make those little clacking sounds. And then what I love to do with it too is, you know, especially when I know I'm in a high percentage area, you're dragging down into something. I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna take my slack in the line, I'm just gonna knock my slack. All that's gonna do is and it's just gonna knock and it's gonna clatter. For our southern folk that really emphasize this on their jigs, got a big old hook in it, so you can absolutely jam them. This is one where I'm gonna fish this on like a 7.3 medium heavy to a heavy. I kind of lean more towards heavy and bigger line because it is a pretty stout hook that's on this thing. But it is one that generates some big bites. You can put a bigger trailer on it. Thing freaking gets smoked. Queen Tackle in general makes some pretty incredible jigs. Encourage you guys to go and look at some of them. Links are all down below. They have my absolute favorite flipping jig. It's just their tungsten flipping jig, but it's got one in this color that is my favorite for flipping, and that is the Tequila Blue Bear. That is a pretty bad to the bone color right there. It's kind of like a purple, pinkish, blue, black hue. They also are obviously known for great forward-facing sonar jig heads, but otherwise, those two jigs right there are great ways to catch a few more bass and put a little interesting twist on catching fish on a jig. So give them a shot. Links are down below. You can go check those out. If you go to Shop Omni Efficient, use code SERIOUS10, save 10%. I'm gonna be throwing this bad boy in Texas, try to win me 30 grand from a dang kayak. So like I said earlier, everything is gonna be linked down below. If you see an Omni Fishing link, use code SERIOUS10, save yourself 10% off your order. Appreciate you guys tuning into this. We are counting down the days before we go down to Lake Fork down in Texas. But we got some stops along the way so you guys can look forward to that content here in a couple weeks. I'm itching to get out of the snowy tundra and headed south towards the great state of Texas, where everything is bigger. Appreciate y'all for taking time out of your day to come and watch this video. Please like, subscribe. We'll see y'all on the next one. Throw a jig!